I know it's a bit weird just me talking into this, isn't it? I think I am recording. Joe doesn't like it if I just talk to the listeners without anyone in between, so I probably shouldn't. Oh, fuck me, I'm tired. Oh. Glingle. Glingle, glingle. Ah! Hello.
Hello, Francine.
Is that you again, Hogfather?
It is.
Good grief, you got even creepier than last year.
I had so much fun visiting your lovely podcast last year. I've come back to answer some letters.
Oh, goodness me. Did you manage to get the sack of mail that Joe sent by Albatross then?
Some of it. The Albatross ate quite a lot, if I'm perfectly honest.
Yeah, I know we really do need to find a more reliable form of postage, but pandemic.
Albatross
you know what it's like.
Oh, I do. Anyway,
yeah.
Isn't it a lovely, happy Hogswatch for all the lovely little boys and girls?
Oh, I do hope so, yeah. All the lovely little boys and girls, I assume, are having very festive times and not waiting on their co-hosts to top up their mulled wine again.
Is Joanna late again? Shocking.
No, she was here, and then she muttered something about a vat of mulled wine, and I'm just hoping she comes back semi-conscious.
Shameful. Well, can't wait for her all day. I'm a very busy Hogfather.
Well, of course, you've got all sorts to do. What can I do for you?
Well, I'd like to answer a few letters from some lovely people.
All right.
First of all, from Stacey. Stacey would like a trebuchet and a morning star.
Oh, very good.
As you've been very good this year, Stacey, you shall have a trebuchet and a morning star. Please don't try and use both at once. For personal reasons, we won't be using the phrase good girl on this podcast.
Cheers, Hogfather. Oh, Hogfather, you so woke.
Marcel appears to have written a letter on behalf of someone called Hex. Hex would like a teddy bear, electricity, and something called Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi?
Wi-Fi?
Faux fun?
I spy a... No, I've got nothing for
sorry,
that.
I shouldn't set you up like that.
Improv, not my strong point. And last of all, Francine, I hear you'd like another sword.
Oh, yes, please. I've had such fun with the other sword, but unfortunately I did get it stuck in an enemy, so...
It happens to all of us. Well, Francine, you shall have another sword.
Oh, thank you. I'll hang up my stocking in the usual place, and this time I will put some, better lining in there, so it doesn't just drop into the floor, because that's kind of dangerous, yeah.
Yes, no, I'm sorry about your mantelpiece, Francine.
Yeah. Now it's in mantelpieces. Mate, finger guns from the Hogswatch.
With that, I'm afraid I shall have to go because I'm a very busy Hogfather.
I understand. That's fair.
It was lovely to see you all.
That's how I lose all my friends.
Tell Joanna I'm very sorry I missed her. It's incredibly strange that we've never been seen in the same room together.
Oh, it is. I'm sure next year you'll manage.
Next year we shall.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Goodbye.
Be so careful with that spreadsheet.
Very careful with that spreadsheet.
Bye. Oh, glingle, glingle. Such festive Hogswatch joy. Tell you what, it's getting a bit bloody late to be drinking so much.
Sorry.
Oh, hello. Oh, what a lovely bow, Joanna.
Thank you. You gave it to me. Sorry, there was a really weird noise outside. There were pigs on the balcony or something.
Are you sure that wasn't just your letterbox again?
Well, no, because it was a pig.
Oh, I guess it doesn't usually snort, just the clattering, isn't it?
Yeah, so I don't know what that was, but they've gone now. It's Suffolk. This kind of thing kind of happens.
What can you do? We get the van driving past our house every now and then.
Yeah.
Lingers, doesn't it?
It does linger. Did I miss anything?
No. I've just been chuntering about your massive vat of mulled wine.
It's not a vat.
It's fine. I'll edit it all out.
Excellent. Thank you. Do you want to make a podcast then?
Yeah, let's make a podcast.
Hello and welcome to The True Shall Make Ye Fret, a podcast in which we are usually reading and recapping every book from Terry Pratchett's Discworld series one at a time in chronological order. I'm Joanna Hagan.
And I'm Francine Carrel.
And this is our very special bumper Hogswatch festive bonus bonanza.
Oh, I say. An extravaganza, would you say, Joanna?
I think there might be a hint of extravaganza about the proceedings.
Oh.
I'm only on my first glass of mulled wine. I just can't speak today. So we are not recapping any of the Discworld books today. No. We are going to talk a little bit about Rhianna Pratchett's new Choose Your Own Adventure book.
Yes,
Crystal
which is
of Storms.
Technically for children, but for children of all ages.
Yes. As with Lego, age 5 to 99 plus.
Exactly so.
But how are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. Slightly more dazed than usual on account of it being evening instead of morning-ish.
Yeah, I think morning-ish is the best way to describe our usual recording time.
Yeah, no, not too bad. Bit busy, bit stressed. But, you know, it'll all be over soon, then we can get on with being depressed about January.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I'm looking forward to that.
How about you?
All right. Things like this are finally making me start to feel festive. I haven't felt very festive.
No, it's difficult. I feel like I'm feeling festive later and later in the year, each year.
Yeah, and this is a particularly strange year.
Yeah. You've made it look very pretty. I like the tree.
There are so many fairy lights up. I would lift it up and show you, but the webcam is really precariously balanced. And like, I will 100% drop it in my cleavage. And like, this isn't that kind of podcast / YouTube channel.
Well, you say that, but we all saw the video you posted on Twitter recently.
I mean, there was a quilt. But
okay.
To clarify, we are talking about the video of me eating sausage in bed, and that doesn't make it better.
No, it doesn't. I think definitely leaving that unsaid was much better for everybody, but never mind. Moving on.
The best bit about having all these lights up is that they're all very precariously hung with like those sticky hooks that can fall off the wall at any moment. And also I haven't checked how much electricity I've got left, so it like everything could fall off the wall or go dark at any second.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, bit of suspense to the proceedings.
Yeah, it's like Russian roulette podcasting.
Except with fairy lights.
To clarify to our listeners who are listening in the traditional manner, we are also recording the video of this episode for our YouTube channel.
Unless everything goes terribly wrong, it should be on YouTube at about the same time as it's on
the normal places.
Yes, the RSS feed. Yes. In which case, if you want to, do switch across.
Yes, and you can watch us on Christmas Eve. That'll be a lovely treat.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's coming out Christmas Eve. Oh,
it's lovely. It's not being recorded on Christmas Eve because obviously not.
No, it's the 16th. I feel like specifying the date is kind of necessary these days in case something, really bad happens between now and then and we sound insensitive or...
Yeah. So we are recording 8 days before
the killer
this
bees
comes out.
Invaded the UK, yeah.
Yeah, which I'm assuming will happen on the 23rd. I haven't checked the almanac.
Yeah, no, my weather app only goes a few days. I haven't paid for the premium. But yeah.
Cool. So killer bees on the 23rd.
Bees.
Yeah. Podcast on the 24th.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Super.
Excellent.
All right.
So, Crystal of Storms.
Uh-huh.
So, as we have said, and I can do this, I can do handy visual aids because this is going on YouTube. I have crazy amounts of post-its that I'm literally not going to reference.
Mine are just right at the back for the instructions and the stuff.
Yeah.
The adventure sheet I did start using before I ran out of space and then used my notebook.
Yeah, I'm not going to show the listeners the amounts of pieces of paper that got a bit silly, especially the inventory list.
Or the cork board with all the string.
So to clarify for listeners, although we're talking about this as it has come out so recently, and I know some of you might be waiting to try it and even maybe waiting to hear what we think of it before you try it, we will not be spoiling any big plot stuff that happens in it.
No. Although if you're one of those people who like really, really, really hate spoilers, then perhaps avoid this episode till you've read it, because I know some people hate any kind of
knowing anything about something before they go into it.
So this is like a spoiler light, but not zero.
Yes. We will pop some time codes in the show notes though, so if you still want to listen to the bits of the episode that aren't about the book, you can.
Smart. Chapters we will have.
We'll have chapters.
If we want to go all American Life about it.
I was thinking, like, let's be theatrical about it on the basis that I really miss theatre.
Ah, yes. Well, sorry. Nothing cheering to say about that. 9 months on.
One day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has been over 9 months since I last went to the theatre. Anyway.
Gross. Okay, so yeah, the book.
The book. So this is part of the Fighting Fantasy Choose Your Own Adventure series.
Which I hadn't heard of till I got this book, but apparently is very well known.
Very well known. It's been going since 1982. But it's not. So I don't know about you, but I was expecting Choose Your Own Adventure kind of like the Goosebumps Choose Your Own Adventure we used to do when we were younger.
Yeah, no, that is my experience with it, and I just kind of assumed they were all like that.
Yeah, which, by the way, very weird tangent, not very festive. Do you ever remember having the Goosebumps mixed media experience?
Help.
Okay, so I have not found anyone else who remembers this existing, including my sister, who I shared this with, but it was definitely a thing we had, and it was like a Goosebumps Choose Your Own Adventure book set in like a haunted house.
Sure.
But there was also like a CD that played a bunch of creepy noises that came with it. I think it might have actually been a CD-ROM, and there was like a whole interactive computer bit you could do. But it also
didn't have that, but that does sound familiar enough that I might have seen an ad for it or something.
Yeah, because basically I was way too young to experience this, and my sister used to put the creepy noises on the CD player to freak me out because they gave me nightmares.
So she doesn't remember now.
Yeah, no, she doesn't remember. But I know very few people who like have also experienced this, and so I'm starting to wonder if I dreamed it.
Yeah, well, I know they did audio stuff because I used to have Goosebumps cassettes. Like,
yeah,
books, so
I don't think it's completely ridiculous to think that I didn't make this up in my head.
No, I'm sure.
But listeners, if you've got any awareness of this weird haunted thing from my past, please give me a shout.
The Choose Your Own Adventure I particularly remember is the one with all the shrunken heads in the jungle and the quicksand, which is why
terrified
I'm
of
forever
quicksand.
Surprised I don't run into quicksand when I'm out walking the dog. And
we all thought quicksand was just going to be more
Suffolk
of a thing.
Woods. Yeah.
I'm kind
Turns
of not
out the real
disappointed.
dangers in life are class immobility and bees.
Bees aren't dangerous. They're very important for the environment.
Yes, no, quite right. Wasps, I don't like wasps.
No,
they might also be important and good for the environment, but they can go and die. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I'm trying not to swear too much on this one, by the way, because I don't think YouTube likes it.
Oh.
I know the last episode we did, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm making no promises.
No,
to be perfectly honest.
But just like
I didn't think this is how I'd get flagged for adult content, but there we go. But yeah, so I was expecting.
Sorry.
Right, stop talking about the sausage video.
Okay. What were you expecting?
I was expecting like a thing where you'd sort of have lots of different outcomes at the end, and you'd sort of almost find multiple different stories in there, but it's not as much more like RPG.
Sure.
Like I haven't played a lot of tabletop RPGs. I know you've played a bit of D&D and such like.
Yeah, it was like a kind of solo simplified D&D thing.
Yeah.
So
it made me want to
roll some stats at the beginning.
Yeah. It made me want to actually try D&D, which I wanted sort of to for a while, but you know, pandemic and all that.
Oh, sorry, listeners, watchers, whatever, viewers. I just noticed I'm on a bit of a bloody skew here.
I like it. Makes you look distinguished.
All right, fuck it. I'll just try and crop the video again.
Like everything about me is permanently askew, so we're going with it.
Yeah. No, I think possibly because I had such a different idea of what it would be. I didn't take to it as much as I would have done, but
see, I really enjoyed it. It took me longer to get through than I thought because I looked at the size of the book and went, well, obviously I won't have to go through
in that. Yes.
Yeah, and I won't have to go through every page because there'll sort of be different stories and I'll be on different pages depending on the story I end up following.
Yeah.
And obviously that wasn't the case, which meant I did end up going through the book, so it took me a lot longer than I thought.
Yeah.
Also, I took a million notes on the plot before realizing that I wanted to do a low spoiler episode.
Yeah, and there's so many stopping points and like decision points compared to.
There's a lot of stopping points and decision points and flipping back and forth. which I didn't really mind. Like I said, I really enjoyed it, but then I like RPGs. I play a lot of video game RPGs.
Mm-hmm.
I've been wanting to get into the tabletop thing more, and also I like taking things apart and seeing how they work.
Yeah, I think probably that extra layer made it more interesting for you because, although, I don't hate the concept, but kind of I play RPG games, like video games, but I like ones with a bit more freedom.
Mm.
And I like tabletop games, but the fun thing about tabletop games is other people.
Yeah.
And that's me saying that.
And you're not the most social creature.
No.
See, for me, it was interesting. Like I've already talked a bit about, I've got some interest in game writing and starting to learn how that works and the idea of branching narratives. You can really, neither of us have done any other fighting fantasy books, so we don't have a big thing to compare it to. But like, no. I would say from this, you can really tell the work that Rhianna Pratchett has done as a games writer.
Yeah, I would like to go back through now, and now I'm not trying to, like, full disclosure here right away, listeners, I did not get through to the end because I thought I could do it this afternoon and I got very bored. But like I should say, I do realize it's for children. Like,
yeah,
it's a children's book. I'm sure it's exactly the right amount of engaging for like 10-year-olds or whatever it's meant for.
Again, I find that quite engaging, but I am very childlike. And like I wanted to know what happened, which was the other thing I was going to talk about. Like, yeah, obviously you found the process a bit tedious. I quite enjoyed it. The combat slowed it down a lot.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, there's some interesting combat mechanics in there. I like how it works.
Yeah,
but it did slow it down. So one of the things that I did get through to the end, but full disclosure, I cheated. I managed to survive all of the fights.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because I have exactly the same habit, it turns out, doing something like this as I do when playing actual RPGs, which is hoarding all of my potions because what if I need it more later?
Yeah.
So that meant I had loads of potions and stuff that helped me. The inventory system and the way you can do things like that, I found really, like the mechanics, again, I really enjoyed.
That was fun. I liked that because that gave that little aspect of freedom.
Yeah.
Like, how I like straight away, if you haven't read this, guys, don't try and fill everything in the sheet in the back. Use a notebook. Your writing will never be small enough to fit in a little paperback book size adventure sheet.
Yeah, I think I ended up getting through like 4 pages of A5. Maybe one of those pages was just because I was writing the fights as I went through.
Yeah, that would have really put me off as a kid as well, because I would have thought I was doing it wrong somehow, and I had terrible handwriting and like.
I did get a bit stressed out with like the writing things down aspect of it, just because I was trying to write notes at the time before realizing I didn't need to be too extensive with note taking, and B, yeah, I felt a bit like I might be doing something wrong because I've not done something like this before.
Okay, also, is it just me? Oh, right at the beginning where it tells you which page to find the rules on, that's wrong, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that delayed me by a full 10 minutes at the start of the process. So
that took me a minute as well. I figured it out. I also so I think because I did write all of this down, there were 23 fights I went through in total. And like I said, the combat mechanics were probably the thing that slowed it down the most for me.
Mm-hmm.
Partly
in the end,
what
I did was, instead of rolling a dice every time, I got a little website up on my phone to roll dice.
I really wish I'd thought of that. I thought of building a random dice generator with JavaScript to do it with.
You didn't think anyone else had thought of that ever?
No, I'm sure there are those websites, but I need to practice coding, and that's one of the like early JavaScript exercises. So I thought, I'll quickly knock one of those up again.
Course, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did you do that then?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I own a die. Like I probably have more than that in house, but the rest are all like in board games and things. I have one that just sits around. So I was just rolling it twice for each time I was meant to roll 2 die at the same time.
She's rolling it twice. Gonna find out who lives and who dies.
I really wish I was good enough at improv to follow up on that, to be honest.
Yeah, I know, it's cool.
But yeah, no, that all the writing things down definitely stressed me out a little bit, but I think that's because I don't think that would be the case if it was a normal person doing it.
If you're doing it for enjoyment, like a normal human person, you'll be fine.
Yeah, if you're not like a pile of neuroses in a trench coat pretending to be a human.
Hey, I've got a lovely woolen overcoat now.
I've got a really lovely wool
That's
coat,
even
but
more
it's like,
neuroses in there. And people don't think you're a flasher, which is one of my neuroses.
you know, I very rarely worry that people think I'm a flasher, which is saying a lot because I accidentally flash people all the time.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, okay, moving on from my wardrobe malfunctions.
Sure.
I really like the world building though, like the initial
Yeah.
setup.
Yeah, it's nice. It's very brief and simple and evocative straight away.
It creates a really complex world with, like, I love fantasy world building in general.
Yeah.
This creates a really complex world with an economic system, different species, different cultures, different lands that have different priorities, all in with a couple pages at the beginning to introduce you to what the world is and what your backstory is.
Yeah.
And then it builds it really beautifully through the book, considering.
Yeah. And quite apart from that, like, I just like it. I like the concept of it. Like, it reminded me a bit of the Edge Chronicles. I like that kind of.
Yeah. So I don't think it's too
Thought of it.
spoilerish. The actual concept of the world that you're in for this.
Oh, you read opening your book on camera like a storyteller.
Oh, I forgot to mention there's also a lovely dedication to mum and dad who showed me magic every day.
Oh.
Which heartwarming. So you are where sorry. You're in a land called Pangaria.
Am I?
Okay, sorry, in the book. It's obviously it's all second person. So that people have these there's 5 islands surrounding a central island. The central island is called the Nimbus, and then the 5 islands all have different focuses. Like some are farming, one's like a trade area.
Mm-hmm.
One place they farm clouds. That's
right.
Altus, which is the one I chose because you can choose one of 3 islands to be your home world, and I chose Altus, the cloud farming one.
Okay.
And you work for the Skywatch, who are the guardians of peace within this whole land. So yeah, there was a slightly weird feeling that I'm basically playing.
All Sky Cops are bastards.
Yeah, I felt a bit weird, like playing a cop for the whole game. That
especially
made
such
me a
an
bit
ineffective
uncomfortable.
one.
Yeah, I mean, well, you do a bit. You didn't get to the end. Obviously, no spoilers, but like, you are relevant to the plot in this.
Yeah, fair.
Or one is relevant to the plot in this.
Yeah.
Pronouns are particularly tricky. One is highly relevant. And yeah, basically the story, and none of this is a spoiler, this is all literally in the like opening intro.
Mm-hmm.
All of you Sky Cops have gone to a big meeting on the Central Island, but you get quickly sent back to grab something, so you're not there, and the whole Central Island kind of crashes down into the ground.
Calamity, catastrophe.
Calamity. And so your mission throughout the book is to find out what the fuck is going on.
You have to tell me what the fuck was going on after we finished recording.
I will do.
Thanks.
I did it like 2 days ago and I'm not entirely sure I can remember. That is not a criticism of the book. That is a criticism of my retention skills.
Yeah, sure. Even when you're writing everything down, huh?
Yeah. No. Cool. Gone. Which is really handy for talking about it, and why I suggested that we kept spoilers out of it, because then I don't have to remember anything.
Ah, very clever. Very good.
Yeah, peek behind the curtain for the listeners there. This is how I cover my incompetence. With style. And a bow.
Oh. Tied up in a little bow. Or a big bow.
So obviously you didn't get all the way through it. Like what I was saying, full disclosure, that I did cheat. So I got through all the fights.
I did, and I still didn't. Like, by the time I was getting really bored by the end of the afternoon, I was like, I'm just going to assume I won all these fights, and I still didn't get through. Like,
so like I said, I won all the fights I did when I was getting into the like end of it, because the day was moving faster than I wanted it to, and I still really needed to eat dinner.
Time is strange.
Time is very strange. So I did skip a couple of fights, but I did do the main. It has like a main boss fight, so it had a very game-like structure.
Okay.
There were a couple of other times where I got the your adventure is over, and because I literally did not. The second one happened like when I was very late in the game, so
You weren't gonna
backtracked
start
and
again. Yeah.
yeah, I did not have time to start again and get to the end of the book, and I really wanted to get to the end before we talked about it.
Yeah.
So I backtracked a few pages because also if I was playing a video game, that's what I would have done. Like I would have had a save point to go back to. So I treated a couple of places like save points, one of which involved me getting eaten by mermaids, which honestly, it was me being gay and stupid that got me murdered by mermaids. So really, it was very in character.
Good. Yeah, I got killed at one point, and then I did start again, which possibly was my mistake because I was a reasonable way along.
If I hadn't had a time
but
crunch,
the second time I rolled much better stats.
Yeah.
So the first time you saw, didn't I rolled the worst stats possible, and it makes a lot of difference. A lot.
Yeah,
like,
I was
I
really lucky.
Through every easy fight.
I was really lucky on my opening stats and lucky with a weapon I picked up early on.
Yeah.
And that probably made the main difference of why I managed to get through as much of it as I did before I started having any trouble. The big boss fight though was quite cool because it was to explain some of the mechanics, you have skill and stamina and luck, but that's not as relevant to the mechanics of fighting.
It can be.
Okay, it can be, but without going into like the complex detail, because I assume if anyone is actually going to do this, they'll read the rules and learn.
Fine.
But so you'll have a creature that has, so skill is like a set level, like say its skill is 10 and then its stamina is also 10, and you have your own skill level, which for example is 7, and your stamina is at 10, and stamina is almost like a health bar. It goes up and down. You can have potions that restore it. So to go through a fight, you roll 2 die for the monster attacking you. You add that to its skill level, and that's its attack strength, and then you do the same for yourself. And if yours is higher, you damage it. If it's higher, it damages you.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you damage it, its stamina goes down. So you're wiping down its health. With the final
game.
Yeah. I know. But for the final boss fight, there were like 3 or 4 different breakpoints where its stamina would get to a certain level and it would take you to
this is spoilering.
Well, no, I'm just saying that there is a final boss fight and this is the mechanics of it. I'm not explaining how it's relevant to the plot.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the plot I'm avoiding spoiling. I apologize if people want to avoid spoilers for the mechanics, but
it's just that you're the one sometimes who like tells me off for spoilering when I mention a character might appear again one day in 10 books time.
Spoilers.
So sorry, fuck. There are characters in future Discworld books. I'm very sorry.
It's not just a nameless void with some dialogue. We already had that in Reaper Man. Technically, our entire intro to this episode, might be considered a spoiler for some.
Yeah, that's true. Wow.
Soz. Anyway, so the mechanics of the boss fight, like there are these breakpoints in its stamina levels where it takes you to another page and something happens where you then have to test your skill or your luck in a different way, and then the fight continues on. And it felt very much like a final boss battle in a computer game where like you take it down to a certain amount of health and then you get a little cut screen and then you so I enjoyed that. Like it all felt very, very video gamey. I would have enjoyed it more had I just sat down and done the book for fun as opposed to like doing it under a time crunch and making sure I had enough to talk about. I think I sort of spoiled it for myself slightly there.
Yeah.
But like, so I would buy another one of these and give it a go another time when I could just sit and do it for fun.
Yeah.
Because it is still like a one-day thing.
I expect this will be successful, and I expect Rhianna Pratchett will bring out another. That's my guess.
I would be very surprised if she didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, we know obviously the franchise is successful because it's been going for nearly 40 years.
Yeah. I'm interested to know how it works behind the scenes, whether the franchise gives a lot of help in constructing the books so it works. And
well, I assume like the books can all be done individually, but kind of are technically all within the same universe, so there can be bits of overlap.
Yeah, no, yeah, but I mean, like, not all of the writers are going to be like Rhianna Pratchett and have a load of games experience writing. So I wonder, like, if they've got someone there to support making your idea into this. Or
yeah, there's probably a certain amount of best practices and things as well. But I'm tempted to get a couple more of these, and just because I have a week off coming up, I would quite enjoy that.
Cool.
Did you make any decisions that like you regretted, or did you get to any points where you were frustrated you couldn't do things a certain way?
No, I think I was quite good with the decisions. I got because playing it as an adult, again, when it's meant for kids, you get like a vague idea of the moral line they want you to take, and so you get rewarded for it.
Yeah.
I think when I was trying to finish quickly and did silly things, then I died. But
yeah, there was one point quite early on, mild spoiler, but I was put in a position where I couldn't help a dog, and it upset me quite a lot.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't like that. I'd have just stopped then.
It really frustrated me because it involved just having an item I didn't have. And it forces you to just walk away, and obviously unlike a video game, you can't go back to the hinterlands later and fight the bear then.
Yeah. Which we would have done. Playing video games. I know you're like me, you're like, right, okay, I'm just going to spend a quick 6 hours trotting back and dealing with that untied thread.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this is why my first playthrough of Dragon Age Inquisition was 85 hours long.
Yeah, it was.
Fucking shards.
How many times did you die? Ish. I mean, not in the fights, I know, but like, how many times do you reckon you had to flick back?
Only twice.
Okay.
And like I said, one of those involved me being dumb and gay and getting eaten by mermaids. And the other one...
To clarify, listeners who don't know us very well, Joanna's not using gay as a derogative. It's just like...
I'm attracted to women.
Gay.
I mean this just in the strictly non-heterosexual
gay brackets
sense.
Informative.
Oh, fucking heteros. Anyway.
It's fair.
It is.
But how many times do I get eaten by a mermaid?
I mean, how many do I in real life?
I don't know. You don't tell me everything about your life.
Literally, when have I not overshared with you massively? Yeah.
All right. Is there much more you've got to say about that?
Oh no, just the other time I didn't die. I got a if you can't do X, Y, or Z, then your adventure is over. And I was like, oh fuck, my adventure is over. Then I realized that I'd literally just and I started trying to like go back a few pages and figure out where I could fix it, and then I realized I'd literally forgot the money section on the inventory sheet, and actually I had enough money to get out of where I was.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, but it took me like half an hour to realize that. Once again, I am quite pretty and not very intelligent. Oh no, I'm quite pretty, quite intelligent. I'm not very bright.
Sure. It's just lack of sleep. If by some weird miracle you ended up with a solid 8 hours for a week in a row, I would be terrified of you.
Oh yeah, no. I would definitely rule the world if that was the case.
Sorry, any listeners with misophonia, but it's not really realistic for me to be muting my drinking.
Ditto. Well, especially as like my laptop is further away than usual.
Yeah.
I can't reach the mute button. You just have to suffer my drinking. I'm really just hoping you're too tired to make any gifts of me from this episode.
I was just about to say, no, that's going to happen. Sorry. I'm not really sure what kind of video we're going to end up with, because we're videoing straight from Zoom rather than separate feeds. And I feel like Zoom sometimes flicks between who's speaking on the video it records, or like whether I've got 2 separate streams or what. So
well, we'll find out. It'll be an adventure.
Absolutely.
We've not really tried to play with the Zoom video before, have we?
No, we fucked about with iPhones recording last time, which was definitely better video quality, but also just a pain to sync up with the audio. So
also, my way of recording myself with an iPhone involved balancing a stool on my footstool and then leaning my phone up against a mug with a copper bangle to steady it.
Yeah, whereas now you've got a stool on your footstool with a laptop on top of it, which seems fine.
And a webcam precariously balanced on the laptop.
Much better.
Yeah, no, I didn't really have much else to say about the book. I was never planning on doing a big in-depth analysis, but the main takeaway from it was I really enjoyed it. I really liked the mechanics of it. Mm-hmm. And now I want to take it apart and see how it works.
Yes. Yeah, no, I think I will find that more interesting.
Yeah. It was difficult to resist the temptation to do that from the start. Like I really wanted to. I was reading it.
I was like, oh, I kind of want to try and make one of these.
Yeah.
I was like, no, come on, read this book.
I'm not saying that I will never try and figure out how to make one, because like literally trying to kind
Well,
of
that seems
study
like a
game
great
making.
thing for you to do because you want to do video game writing and you can already do writing.
Mm. But I also had that idea after, what was the Netflix one?
Oh,
The like choose your own adventure Black Mirror.
Yeah, with a B. Yeah. Bandersnatch.
Bandersnatch. Nice sync. Yeah, I kind of started looking at it with that by just trying to write out the different branching narratives of Bandersnatch, and it got corkboards and string very quickly.
Yeah.
And I mean, I
want a giant corkboard.
I want a giant corkboard just for like a serial killer wall.
Should have asked. Oh no, there was no one here for me to ask for things from. Oh.
Wait, did
no, it's fine. No. So Christmas.
Christmas.
Back
Yeah,
on
okay.
World.
Yeah, so back on World. This is coming out to our listeners hopefully on Christmas Eve.
Cross fingers.
Fingers crossed, depending on the Killer Bees on the 23rd that we believe might be scheduled.
Yep. Well, even so, I think we can probably
squeeze out a podcast.
Yeah. Oh, as we've already recorded it and hopefully edited it by then.
Fingers crossed. It's going to be...
I like how it's like it's out of my control. I don't know whether I'll do it.
It's going to be such a weird one this year. Like, you can say that straight out of the gate. No one is having the Christmas they intended on having, or Hogswatch, or solstice, or however you celebrate the turning of the seasons in winter.
If indeed you do.
If indeed you do at all.
How are you doing it? What are you doing?
Yeah, so you and I have got very different ones and very different feelings about them, I think. So yeah. I say normally, but even outside of the pandemic, I am not having the Christmas I expected this year.
Yes.
And have gone through lots of life changes that mean I'm still figuring out new traditions for myself.
Mm-hmm.
But like, so if there wasn't a pandemic, the way I'd celebrate it is I'd have like at least 6 people, including me, for lunch. And then my door would be open from the afternoon for literally anyone to pop round and have a drink and a bite to eat and a hug. And I'd normally end up with, or in previous years and hopefully even now, end up with if there wasn't a pandemic, end up with a house full of people.
Yeah.
And it would be very chaotic and loud, and glasses would get knocked off tables, and there'd probably be someone's kids knocking about, and it would all be very silly. And then I'd have a mountain of glasses to wash up, and I love that. And so for me, it's a bit weird. So we're allowed to mix a certain number of bubbles, or we're allowed to have a certain amount of households together over Christmas, which for me is 3 friends coming over, a married couple and another friend.
Mm-hmm.
And they are people who I love dearly, and I'm getting to spend the day with them. And especially in the married couple's case, they're American. It's probably their last Christmas in England, so I'm really glad I'm spending it with them. But yeah, it's going to be an odd one because it's just going to be the 4 of us, just for the entire day. I've still got enough food and drink to feed the 5,000 just in case, because you never know.
God, Joanna texted me her menu earlier, listeners, and this was after I'd been stressing about a fairly simple affair. And Joanna's like, "Oh yeah, I mean, I'm just throwing together, 10 roast hogs and a finely dressed peacock and a fricasseed pancetta on top of a bed of haute couture cress or something. I don't know." Those all
okay, so yes, haute couture cress is definitely a chef done. Okay, no, my actual menu for Christmas Day is on arrival. There will be pigs and blankets. The hors d'oeuvre. Hors d'oeuvre, love.
Sorry, pigs on blankets.
Pigs in blankets. Not on blankets.
No, that would be weird.
Yes, that would be weird. Pigs in blankets, devils on horseback, plus some breadsticks.
Speaking of weird food we couldn't think of last week.
Devils on horseback. Which, for the uninitiated, is prunes wrapped in bacon, which sounds disgusting, but I love them so much.
So bad. You don't even like dried fruit. I'm amazed you like those.
Mum used to make them every Christmas, and it was always a thing. We'd pass around a plate of them while we were doing champagne, and it was... So yes, there'll be champagne, there'll be those, there'll be some other nibbles and dips and some homemade sourdough crackers. And then for mains, we've got a slow roasted leg of mutton, pom anna, braised red cabbage, sprouts with pancha. Pom anna is amazing. So it is very, very finely sliced potato layered normally with butter and seasoning and then baked. But in my case, instead of just butter, it'll be a mix of butter and chicken fat infused with garlic and thyme.
Gosh, no veggies coming then.
No, I don't have any vegetarians this year. And then, and sprouts with pancetta and roasted carrots. And then a blackberry and chocolate ganache tart for dessert. Featuring blackberries foraged for me by a friend in the summer that I've been keeping in the freezer for something special.
So ecstatic. Tell Tumblr about it. They'll fucking love it. Cottagecore.
I would be so good at cottagecore if it wasn't for the fact that I also really like lipstick and petticoats, which
You
I
can
feel
do
aren't
that.
very...
No, they don't actually go outdoors, I think. They just
really?
put on tweed and lipstick.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, okay, fine, I'm cottagecore.
You can tell because if you actually dress to go outside, you don't look like that. You've come on dog walks with me, you know.
I will still wear lipstick on a dog walk.
Yes, yeah, but not like perfectly pressed.
I don't own any perfectly pressed anything.
Yeah,
I don't have
linens,
a fucking iron.
I don't know.
So that's my Christmas Day menu. But yeah, so it's going to be weird and it's going to be different and it's not the Christmas I would like to be having, but I'm still looking forward to it. I'm still glad I get to see people.
Yeah.
What about you? Because I was saying, you know, we're quite different in that I don't get to host 1 million people and I would love to, but you're a bit opposite.
Yeah, no, I've got a couple family members coming who I love very much. I'm glad to be seeing, but I hate hosting do you know what? I don't mind hosting if I've got the fucking room. Like when I'm in Jersey at my family's house, that makes me sound like I've come from family, but I don't. It's just a bigger house.
Yeah.
And like there's a dining table and a kitchen you can move in and stuff, but here I've got a coffee table. Like I don't have a table to sit down at, and I've got to cook for people with, I think every one of us has different dietary requirements. And
oh yeah, you've got like your pescatarian and you've got a gluten-free vegan pescatarian.
Yeah, except I think he eats meat now, but still not gluten or dairy. But yeah, it's fine. It's fine because what I'm going to do is just make it as simple as possible. You can go over the top complicated with that, but I'm just going to roast some salmon and lamb and vegetables.
Yeah.
And they can eat it and like it. That's fine.
Yeah. I think this is the weird thing. Like people put so much pressure on themselves on Christmas, but it's about like sitting down and eating something that tastes good together. It doesn't have to be a ridiculous, overcomplicated roast dinner that means you have to get up at 6 a.m. and can't sit down till 4 in the afternoon.
I think where I've gone wrong in the past, because the last few years I've been very stressed on Christmas, and part of it's because I stopped drinking a few years ago. This will be Christmas number 4 with no drinking.
I was going to say next year's your 5th anniversary. So this will be Christmas number 4.
5 years in March. But yeah, and so that, you know, took the fucking edge off, to be honest.
Yeah.
Back in the day. And I don't know, I think I've just been trying to recreate something that I literally don't have the space or the time or the personality to recreate. And so the idea of making new traditions is a good idea. Traditions that I can actually recreate without getting in a snit about it, you know?
This is kind of a weird thing for me because I have odd little Christmas traditions, but I don't really have many childhood ones because my childhood Christmases were not always spent in the same place. Like sometimes we'd visit family around the country or sometimes in another country. We got to go to Vermont for Christmas one year. That was fucking ridiculous. Everything was covered in snow. It was beautiful. That was the most like Christmassy Christmas I think I've ever had.
Oh, that'd be nice.
It was beautiful. But yeah, so I don't have this
Canada
like
Christmas and frolic with the moose.
Yes, well, I mean, let's
warning.
Not
do not frolic with moose. They are dangerous.
Yeah, no, all the geese.
Just leave the geese alone.
Yes,
noble beasts.
But yeah, so I don't have like a weird childhood nostalgia thing I'm trying to recreate. I only really started forming important Christmas traditions for myself over the last few years. And then, like I said, my life caught fire and now I don't have those.
Yeah. I'm not even sure it's a childhood nostalgia. I'm after just the sense of it I used to have that I don't anymore. Like one of the best Christmases I've ever had was when I lived with you and we had a Nerf gun fight in the morning. Like,
oh god, and we all had cream eggs, and then like I buggered off for a bit to do family stuff, but we all ended up back at my. In fact, I think I didn't even do family stuff. I think I just went to the pub and brought food down there.
Yeah.
And then we all ended up back at my place, like watching bad movies in this weird cuddle pile. It was great.
Yeah, it was great. I liked that. But yeah, the thing it has in common with childhood ones is I was not in charge of anything. So
Yeah. It started to become stressful when I started taking charge of it, but one of my biggest sources of stress was generally to do with feeling like I had to do everything.
mm-hmm.
And strangely, now I'm admittedly having a very weird Christmas where I'm only feeding 4 people, including myself, and not expecting 30 in the evening.
Yeah.
It's more the fact that no, I am taking responsibility for everything, and I'm much better at saying to the people who are coming to me, like, I have abandoned responsibility for X, Y, and Z and would like you to take it.
Yes.
And that's largely in the form of asking them to bring a drink, really.
Yeah.
But one of the traditions I haven't been able to do this year specifically because of COVID that I've missed the most is decorating my local pub.
Oh yeah.
Because that so our local is a really, really tiny little pub run exclusively by grumpy barmen who hate Christmas. But every year we would sort of invade on a Sunday with the grumpiest barman working and put stuff up everywhere, and we bought more and more tat and we're keeping it there. And last year I think was the best one because the sort of dear friend who'd spearheaded it over the last few years looked at it and went, it's not enough, back in a minute. Went off to the decoration shop just up the road and came back wearing all of the tinsel he could physically wrap around his body. And by the time we were finished, it looked awful. It looked like a sugar plum fairy had thrown up on the place.
Amazing.
And sadly, that friend is no longer with us. So even if we could have decorated this year, it would have been a bit bittersweet. But it's a strange thing to not go and do because it was none of us are going to be here on Christmas Day. No one wants us to be doing this apart from us. But at the same time, we've all taken over the pub. We're all perched on benches and bar stools and tables and by the end of it falling off them.
Yeah.
And it makes people smile.
Yeah, no, it was fun. Oh well.
1 year we'll get to do it again.
Maybe next year. Fucking vaccine, isn't it, mate?
Yeah. Speaking of new traditions, we have a couple of nice letters from listeners.
Well,
and I think
dispatches from the round world.
Dispatches from the round world. These are technically addressed to the Hogfather, but the Hogfather said we could read them on the basis it was uncomfortable with his beard on or something. I don't know. But I want to read this first one because it's to do with Christmas traditions, and this is from Dungeon Master / Carl from our little subreddit community. And he writes, Dear Hogfather, this year my friend moved 350 miles from one end of the country to the other, ending up in my part of Newcastle because he fancied a change. COVID has messed with the bedding in process along with the travelling back down south to see our families process, so over Christmas he'll be spending his time with me and my family, bravely accepting uncle status to 4 rowdy children and a 9-month-old baby. It should be a wonderful, comforting time. And Carl follows with, all I'd like for Christmas is for everyone to know that there's always someone to listen, even if that someone you resort to is a stranger on the internet. We've had a bloody tough year and it's been isolating for a lot. One thing the year has done, however, is really bolstered a lot of community spirit and showing of care for a lot of people, strangers included. Our local co-op was doing runs down to our house with painkillers for my partner after she gave birth during the first wave of I need all the toilet paper and paracetamol we were hit with in April, and it warmed my heart. Anyone who wants a Chinwagger event, I'll listen. We can discuss Discworld or D&D or Spider-Man or whether the milk goes in before or after the tea. I don't mind. As long as I'm entertaining you and keeping you company, then it won't be wasted time. And he's Dungeon Master on Reddit and optional_Carl on Twitter. Blind IO bless us, everyone, and to all a good night. And I thought that was a really lovely letter from Carl because I think this is...
Very lovely letter. Thank you, Carl. I don't mean that in a patronising child's presenter voice. That's just how my voice goes when I'm trying to be on. It's like when I try and do a thumbs up, it's always sarcastic.
Yeah. So sarcastic.
I mean it. Thank you, Carl. No, I'm not being sarcastic.
And for people who are or have thought about having a look at our subreddit, Carl has also very nicely asked the community to give him some feedback on the first few chapters of the novel he's working on, and that's up in there, which I'm really looking forward to reading.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's worth a read.
Awesome. But I think that's the lovely thing is that, yeah, we're all having to change our traditions and make new ones and spend it all in such an odd way.
Yeah.
But everyone's also very willing to try and reach out to each other and find ways to make it better.
Yeah.
I'm doing horrible syrupy optimism, so
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to join in, but
Also, I hate everything. Like, don't get me wrong,
you
I
get
have
me at
not
like
started.
10 o'clock when my meds are just kicking in. I can join in with this, but
I'm still very much with all of you on the world is terrible and I hate everything, but I'm trying to look for bright spots in a ridiculous fucking year.
yeah, I'm not even there. I'm not. World is terrible and I hate everything. I'm just like gonna get through this last bit of the year. Just get through the last bit of the year. We'll be grand. We'll be all right. We'll be all right. Just need to get through this. 2021 will be fine. It'll be fine. What bees?
I do think, honestly, the thing I'm finding hardest about all of it is that I'm just remembering. I went through some old photos the other day, and there's one from New Year's Eve 2016. And I've got very sparkly shoes on. So I'm ready to dance on the grave of 2016. It's not going to get worse.
Jinx that.
For historical purposes, that was the year we lost like a whole bunch of famous people, and Brexit and Trump.
Yeah.
And we thought that was, and then the last 3 years happened, and that was a good time was had by all.
So I've said before, haven't I? 2016 was a weirdly good year for me, considering everything was horrible. But like,
yeah,
I was sober and Jack proposed, and like, personally, I had a very nice year. But everyone's like, "Fucking 2016 is the worst thing ever." I was like, "Yeah, I know, it's terrible, isn't it?"
Yeah, I don't think I had a particularly good or bad year 2016, to be honest. Yeah. And it was the same for the next couple of years. Like 2017, I just remember being weird. 2018, was it 2018 you got married? Yes.
Yes, yeah.
We should know when that was lovely. Loved
nice.
you getting married.
Yeah, that was good fun.
Had a great time. The priest was hilarious.
Wasn't he though? He had shorts on under his cassock.
That's what I look for in a priest.
Yeah, but in the same vein we did for Halloween, we should probably dig out some old embarrassing Christmas and New Year's photos of us to put in the show notes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We've got some.
We've got some crackers, mate. We've been spending New Year's together since a long time ago, and now I'm sad.
I'd say it's probably been about a decade we've been spending New Year's together.
Yeah. A bit longer maybe, because it's been a decade since Australia, and I'm sure we spent a couple together before that.
Yeah. Which is the other weird thing for me is that all of the discourse, no, it's not, but a lot of people are talking so much about Christmas and what they're going to do and how they're going to alleviate loneliness or work around COVID or for me it's not Christmas. I still get to see people. I still get to be over dramatic and extra by making a ridiculous meal while wearing probably pearls on a petticoat. Sure. Because Christmas is the one day I truly can embrace femininity.
I'm a feminist, but
I'm a feminist,
really good in pearls on a petticoat. So
yeah. I will also be wearing a dress. I feel I need to clarify.
Oh, all right, fine. Sorry, OnlyFans subscribers.
We're not, Francine. We're not getting a TikTok. We're not getting an OnlyFans. That is not how we monetize the podcast. But yeah, for me, it's not Christmas. It's Boxing Day, because that I would normally spend with with some kind of family, and obviously I won't be doing that. Admittedly, I'm really looking forward to my Boxing Day plans because they involve sitting around at home in my pajamas, shoveling pate into my face with reckless abandon.
Beautiful. Do a video call if you want.
Yeah, no, we'd be up for something like that. And the other one is New Year's.
Yeah, that's good.
And New Year's Day. New Year's Day is always a big social thing for me because we have some friend traditions.
Yeah. See, it would have been a weird one for me this year anyway, because my other half used to manage a pub and doesn't now, left early this year, just before it all kicked off. So things like I wouldn't have had to be at that pub all night and but yeah, I don't know, I guess I'll stay home.
Yeah, I'm assuming I'll do the same. I might wear a floor length
sequin. Stand outside.
I might wear a floor length.
It's cold. It's cold.
I might wear a sequin gown and drink champagne anyway. Like nothing to do with New Year's, just
You can stand. Oh, you can stand on the balcony in a sequin gown and glitter in the streetlights,
Yeah.
but not like in a paying for sex way.
Yes, I can overlook the glittering lights of the spa
Yeah.
across the road.
I mean, the orange lights, not the red lights.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll try and make sure.
You can do what you want, but monetizing the podcast apparently isn't going in that direction, so whatever.
So prostitution is the next option.
Yeah, sure. Sex work, Joanna. Sex work.
Sex work. It's not my go-to career goal, but I'm not against it.
No.
Anyway. God, I am so sorry. I'm not.
What?
Even slightly. I don't know. I just haven't apologized for a while. I feel like I should.
You've been pretty good about this recently, actually.
Occasionally it just
comes
back.
Am I just becoming worse, or are you getting better? As in, am I being so awful you don't feel the need to apologize to me constantly?
I feel it's like a sliding scale. Like we're kind of doing this.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say which one of us is which hand.
Okay. All right. Do we have any more letters?
We do. We have another lovely letter. And this is from PD, who goes by various different epithets on various different social media. I'm sorry if people, like, Google went down for a while, so also sorry if other people have sent us emails we're not reading out, but we may not have got them.
Yeah, Google's really weird. I even had a problem today trying to get the doc to open to print out, but
I sent our email address a test email from my personal one.
Yeah.
Which went through, and then like an hour later got a couldn't send your message email. So yeah, so the internet's weird. Anyway, PD wrote again to the Hogfather, but we've been invited to read it out. He did include a note to the recipient of please read the following in a voice suitable for a portrayal of Pratchettian Hogswatch infant number 1, which you can absolutely believe I'm going to commit to for at least a sentence.
Please go, yeah.
Dear Hogfather, I hope you are well. This Christmas, I would like please to be immortal, but with the caveat of being healthy and permanently intact. All right, that's as long as I'm going to do the voice for it. I hate it.
Cool, cheers.
I've been actively shielding since March and it's become a complete embuggerance. I don't wish any of the species who live on the disc ill, but I am fed up with them extending this pandemic like a wizard at a publicly funded banquet. I'm spending Hogswatch as quietly with my partner as I have been most of the last year, only seeing my father at a distance for a couple of hours. I want to be able to go to the disc in the year of the beleaguered badger, and I want to be able to travel, especially to see Lanka, Clutch and the Forest of Scund. I would also very much like to attend a Music with Roxin festival, as they've all been cancelled thus far. And I normally wouldn't read something like this out on the podcast, but it's Christmas, so I'm going to be self-indulgent.
All right.
Can you also please see that the lovely ladies at the Truth Shall Make Ye Fret get their Hogswatch wishes, as they have greatly improved my isolation by being funny, intelligent and informative broadcasters and giving me an excuse to reread some of my favourite books.
I don't think that's Sophie. I think that's just objective broadcasting news, isn't it?
No. It's been fantastic to hear Sir Terry discussed by people who love his work as much as I. I will leave out some apples for Gouger, Rooter, Tusker and Snouter, and also an apple drink. Well, mostly apples for you. I have also made you a picture, which I shall send with this letter. I have, of course, made quite sure to include the traditional castles, snacks and albatrosses of which people speak so highly. Happy Hogswatch from PD Doling, aged 42 and a half. I've seen the picture, you haven't yet. It is a work of art and it's now my phone background.
Oh, sweet. Text it.
Hang on, it's... oh,
sorry, yeah.
I'll send it to you after.
Yeah.
Because we're recording a podcast right now.
Sure.
So yes, that made me smile. And like I said, normally I'm not going to sit and read out compliments people send us on the podcast, apart from that one time someone called us glorious hosts.
So many, of course. It would take forever.
Okay, we don't get a whole bunch.
We get enough. Our listeners are nice.
Oh no, our listeners are great. That was what I was getting to.
Yeah, so sorry.
Yes, we do get lots of compliments and we are greatly appreciative of them. And one of the things that has been really nice, especially this year of all years, also the only the full year we've been podcasting because we started like November last year, is hearing so many people say that this helped them feel a bit less alone, especially in all of the lockdown and isolation nonsense, that it brightened people's days in some way.
Yeah. We've been saying from the start, haven't we, that we've been listening to conversational podcasts the whole time. Like it's
But it's really nice to know that I might have contributed to someone else the way some of the podcasts I listen to have contributed to me. And that also, like, the podcast has been an incredibly positive thing for me this year. It has been, as outside of the pandemic, a completely ridiculous year for me.
Yeah.
And this has been like one of the big constant things, apart from that month we took off when like literally everything was on fire.
Yeah, well. Nah, it's been good, yeah. It's I think without it would have probably gone too long without speaking to other people, and
I'm not saying I like wouldn't have still hit the level of sanity I'm at now, but I might have got down there quicker.
Yeah. Oh, cheers then, Joanna.
Cheers. Thank you, listeners.
Good podcasting. Well done.
Good
thank you, listeners.
Podcasting. Thank you for existing, because it would be really pointless doing this without you.
You sure I exist?
No. Francine! We were so close to the end.
I don't want to get the board down and wipe it again.
We nearly got through a whole episode without an existential crisis. I really wanted to put a 1 on that board.
Well, was an existential crisis or an existential wobble? An existential blip? An existential...
Can you be asked to get the board down?
Oh, fine.
Okay, I mean, we're still not at the end of the episode, but we'll call, if you're willing to get the board out, we'll call that a wobble, and we can see if we can push through to the end without it getting more existential.
What a fucking chalk is, but carry on.
Okay, well, we can think about adding a 1 to it. Possibly. But yes, all I want to say really is thank you, listeners, so much for being here. We probably wouldn't bother doing this if it wasn't for you, because we would just be... No, we totally still would. We'd just be screaming about our favourite books into the void. But it's nice to know that sometimes the void is screaming back.
Oh, that's an excellent point to get back at.
Okay, do you reckon we can push through to the end without getting more existential?
Smiling face now, so maybe.
Is there anything else you wanted to say and haven't, Francine?
Oh, no, I'm fine. I'm really hungry. There's a Chinese waiting for me when we're...
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Shall I get into the outro before we have another crisis then?
Yeah, probably for the best.
Okay.
You know how existential crisis-y I get when there's a chow mein waiting for me?
Oh, chow mein.
Rice vegetable chow mein and vegetable spring rolls.
I've already had
Joanna,
dinner.
best way to reheat spring rolls, please?
Oven, splash of water.
Cheers. Same way as a baguette type thing then.
Yeah.
Cool.
I
couldn't do the whole thing without having a cooking tip.
Oh God, no. I have got a special treat for us at the end of this, which may make no sense without context for our first-time readers who won't know what I'm talking about till next Christmas. But it's not spoilery. Just hang in there and you'll understand it next year. Just giving you the heads up.
You'll understand when you're older. Not technically wrong.
But thank you so much for listening to The Truth Shall Make You Fret.
Yes.
Please don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and tell other people about us, because we like it when people know about us.
Yes, it's very exciting.
It is good
when
fun.
The little line goes up on the little thing on the
We-
statistics tab.
we get
and
to
I
see-
occasionally look at it.
We get to see a graph, and like we're really into that. So it's doing the thing. It's doing the thing. So we will be back with you next year, in the year of the beleaguered badger. We are having a little Discworld break in January, and we will be talking about one of Terry Pratchett's very first novels, The Dark Side of the Sun.
Yes. And this is entirely in aid of next Hogswatch, because Joe wants to make sure that we time it.
Yeah. And okay, no. All of the pauses in the second half of next year are in the aid of Hogswatch. All the pauses in the first half of the year are so we hit soul music on my birthday, so you can watch the Blues Brothers as my birthday present.
Yes.
Hopefully also...
So far out of your way to make me watch a fucking movie. I'm not gonna watch it.
I know, I'm just making you hate it more.
Yeah.
Hopefully by January, we'll also have a handy little calendar up on the website so you can see what book is going to be happening on what month and what else we might be talking about. And we maintain the right to change that at any time because we got distracted by shiny things. Because that will totally happen. Yeah. Anyway, until next year, dear listener.
Until next year.
Until next year.
Yeah, you're right. Ha.
This is our last recording of the year.
Wow. It's so early in the month.
Yeah, we were like extra organized, remember?
Yeah. Oh, man. Good.
We're gonna have
good. I've got so much to do, but
yeah, ditto. We'll still FaceTime.
Okay.
What was I saying? Yes, so in the meantime, until next year, you can follow us on Instagram at The Truth Shall Make You Fret, on Twitter at Make You Fret Pod, on Facebook at The Truth Shall Make You Fret. You can follow our subreddit, r/TTSMYF. You can email us, The Truth Shall Make You Fret Pod @gmail.com. We made it through an episode. Unless anything goes horribly wrong with the rest of this outro. We got through an episode without an existential crisis.
Yeah. Only internal ones.
And in the meantime, dear listener, I would like to leave you with a very special Hogswatch poem. 'Twas the night before Hogswatch, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in the hopes that the Hogfather would soon be there. The listeners were nestled or snug in their beds, with visions of beaten monsters in their heads, and Francine in her kerchief and I in my cap had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap. When out on the windowsill there rose such a row, I jumped out of bed asking, what fresh hell now? Away to the window I flew in a hurry, thought I heard a dark voice say I could murder a curry. The moon shining-ish through the drizzle outside gave the lustre of tea time to the cold winter night, and in that grey darkness what my bleary eyes saw was a rough wooden sleigh pulled by 4 hulking boars. With a pillow-stuffed driver and grumpy old elf, I knew this must be the Hogfather himself. With stamping and belching his coursers they came, and one by one he harangued them by name. Right, come on, Rooter, get on with it, Gouger, try harder, Tusker, and speed up now, Snouter. To the top of the porch, to the top of the roof. If time worked, we'd be late, so get on the hoof. As good events before the year 2020 fly when they meet it with obstacles that make us all cry, so up to the leaking rooftop the pigs flew, with sausages, bacon, and the Hogfather too. And then with the snorting, I heard at the door the stamping and champing of the Hogfather's boars. As I drew in my head, I heard such a din, grumbling about no bloody chimney, the Hogfather burst in. He was dressed all in red, like blood on the snow, and assisted by Raven and a rat made of bone. A bundle of bones he had slung on his back, and he looked like a butcher just opening his sack. With supernova eyes and a ho-ho-ho almost jolly, he gave me notes from DPD and said they were sorry. His strangely thin face was obscured by a beard, and in any other year I might have found this weird, but fuck, it's 2020 and everything's strange. And as a visit from the Hogfathers, no cause to complain. The boars have barely destroyed my gardening labours, though I'm quite worried about noise complaints from the neighbours. He said very little, but got straight on the job, filling stockings with sausages, then gave me a nod. And just as soon as the Hogfather arrived, he returned to his pigs with yet another mince pie. He leapt in his sleigh, to the boars gave a grunt, and away they all flew, fast as an old solstice hunt. But I heard him call out as he flew out of sight, Merry Hogswatch to all, and to all a good night.
Good night, Joanna.
Good night, Francine.